so na minchia a lawyer Raymond Bedema, my own very good friend. Na men can't say dear Quay dear ye any dear Quay dear any bit me I found but answer no morning raid Bibiabo Cordier
Biaboko Kojo na also
eh the radio say me so me hu ye Bibia aye boko me sure so weekend in you ko ye
era nyanko pa se weekend no ko ye pa
ye the radio so ase lawyer me pacho gina so ma me wo hu na yen nyina yentie na yen hwe omo mutie radio so omo Facebook so nhwe bi any TV Kessben TV omo hwe no muntie eye attorney general ensem a odi tudwa when the investigations were done or the back media briefing yentie ne na fe yemra back ne bedi nkomo
such as Gifty Oware-Mensah created and executed a meticulously detailed plan using NSP National Service Personnel Allowances as security to obtain a loan of 30,698,218 cedis, 69 pesos, from the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, at an interest rate of 23%. She achieved these results by using other people's information to register a company called Blocks of Life Consult without their knowledge or permission. Subsequently, she presented Blocks of Life Consult through a middleman in the person of Maxwell Akwesi Ofori-Mintah to an official of the Agricultural Development Bank, and enlisting her husband, Mr. Peter Mensah, a lawyer, to act as one of the directors or representative of the said company. She told ADB that the company specialized in supplying home appliances to national service personnel and proposed that ADB finance the company to enable it to supply these items on higher purchase basis to the service personnel, with the NSA being responsible for handling the deductions and repayments. During the period, suspect Gifty was the acting director, Gifty Oware-Mensah was the acting director of the authority. However, on the marketplace of the authority, there was no indication that.
All right, we the Attorney General and yete nenkano. Lawyer, my memory won't change. And you maybe say what tia we a lawyer dear, but oyamwishiwana.
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
It is alarming, taking into consideration the alleged misappropriation of funds.
Sure.
And the alleged conflict of interest that the deputy CEO or the director of the National Service Authority has indulged herself into. It is actually not. Even to the extent that you will create a company, and that company, because you are the deputy director and you own that company, and that company is supposed to supply goods also to the personnel, create some sort of conflict of interest. Right? And it is not a good corporate governance principles. A person in such corporate or public institutions should not indulge herself into. Now, for me, I feel that it is not even enough to deal with. If only there is some truth in the matter. It is not only enough to deal with only the deputy director. Even the bank that has actually advanced the loan should also be taken on, because the bank is very much aware that it is a public place and that the National Service Personnel money should not. Because, the bank also has lawyers or legal department, and they should have sorted the advice of the legal department as to whether what that person was actually coming for is also good. So we need to look at it from all directions. Okay. Yes, the National Service Deputy Director has indulged herself. If only there is a truth in what the attorney is saying, then she has actually indulged herself in misappropriation, which is not sanctioned by law. And again, the bank that has also gone ahead to give them that facility should also be taken on.
Simply because it's a public.
It is a public funds, and it is meant for national service personnel. I don't think that they are not in this country and that they do not understand what goes on at the National Service Secretariat. You see, we need to be hard on institutions. If you could recall, when Obama came here, he said we don't need strong people, but we need strong institutions. And in creating strong institutions, we need to make sure that laws are at work.
Isn't it the fact that we might be assuming that, for instance, because it's an institution that is for the state, and therefore it is the necessary for them to secure such a loan, certain procedures might not be too hard, I should say, for them to even scale through, rather than unlike me, a normal person, getting into the space to even secure such a loan?
Even the fact that it is public institution, that call for more rigorous steps to be taken in order to make sure that everything that the people are doing are right. Because it is even a public institution, it calls for more rigorous attention and steps to be taken in order for the right thing to be done. Because it is money that belongs to all of us as taxpayers of this republic. So if it turns out that it is not all right, steps are not taken, then the officers of the bank should also be held responsible.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: there's this public outcry there that the manner or probably the formula which the Attorney General is using in terms of briefing the media back and forth, instead of going straight ahead with his job, is becoming unbecoming. They see it as more or less like showing off, kind of. Do you agree or share the same view with the public?
You see, I do not.
Okay.
I do not, simply because there are different methods of fighting corruption. There are several methods of fighting corruption. One of them is naming and shaming people involved in the corrupt practices. Another is the prosecution. If in the wisdom of the Attorney General, he wants to adopt the method of naming, shaming, and prosecution, who is there to say it is not correct? Who? So if you think your name has been alleged, or your name has been mentioned, might have alleged to have taken or misappropriated certain funds, you go to court to clear your name. Anyone that finds himself in public space must be ready to account to the public. Anyone, if you don't want your name to be in the public domain, then don't even try going into public service. Once you are there, you are not there for only yourself, you are there for the good people of Ghana.
But lawyer, would you agree with me that, I mean, you did mention two things, name and shame, and then prosecuting. Now you come in to do name and shame, and then you go ahead to prosecute. Now, in case it happens vice versa, that they come clean, how do you solve the name and shame? How do you solve that?
The same method that he adopted, the same method that the Attorney General has adopted in naming and shaming, he will use the same method to communicate to the good people of Ghana that this person, even though was alleged to have misappropriated this fund, has been exonerated.
Doesn't it reduce your credibility as an Attorney General? Rather than saying, let me go and prosecute straight ahead, and then when I'm done, and then they fall victim, or the court says that yes, I mean,
Kojo, the fact that a lawyer loses a case does not make that lawyer less a lawyer.
Okay.
There are instances that a lawyer may win. There are instances that a lawyer may lose. But the fact that you have lost a case does not make you less a lawyer. It is part of the profession. It is part of the job and the practice. Right. So the fact that maybe they have alleged that somebody has misappropriated funds, due process has been taken, and that person has been exonerated, does not make the Attorney General less in his methods of adoption. Then otherwise, because he has all the state institutions, he will marshal all the state institutions in order at all costs to win cases that are presented in court. Then that will be against the principles of rule of law.
These matters that Attorney General is going ahead to prosecute, what are some of the sentences? I mean, look at the sentences. How is it going to look like? I mean, with this huge, I mean, monies within the space and all that. Should
you know, every offense in this republic has its own sentence. Every offense comes with its own, as it stands now, unless, and of course, I have taken or have the opportunity to go through the charge sheet to know what offenses that are leveled against them. Then I will be able to tell exactly what will be the charges or what will be the punishment. But until then, this time it is only alleged. So when they are taken to court and we have the opportunity to go through the charge sheet, we'll be able to know what charges are leveled against them, and then we can be able to talk about what will be the punishment if they are found guilty at the end of the prosecution.
Because I hear conspiracy of stealing and other ones.
Of course, if conspiracy to steal is one of the alleged crimes, you know, conspiracy is actually an inchoate offense. When we say inchoate offense, it's an incomplete offense. So normally, when we are charging a person for conspiracy, we charge the person with a substantive offense. And here, the substantive offense is stealing. And so, if you are held guilty for conspiracy, you will be punished as if you have committed the substantive offense of stealing. So we have to wait, and then when they are charged, then we can see what they will. If they are found guilty at the end of the prosecution, we can then prefer what kind of punishment that will be given unto them. But as it stands now, and again, let me mention that there is also another law that the accused person can also take advantage of, and which is the plea bargain, the plea bargaining law that has been established now, where you can go and then tell that maybe you are guilty under the circumstances, so they should give you the opportunity to actually settle the state. And I feel that at this point in time, people should be able to take advantage of this law. People who are accused, if really they know that there has been any misappropriation of funds, it is better to take advantage of this law. They go there and then talk with the AG. They pay the money to the state, and they are left to go. It is better, they are allowed to go. It is better that way than going through all this, and at the end of the day, all the life you lived, you will go and waste it in the prison.
And what do you say the law is?
Plea bargaining law. Plea bargain. You go and plead guilty and go into an agreement with the Attorney General or the state how you will be able to pay. And they will look into it, and under the circumstance. Look, it is not about persecution, it is about prosecution. It is not about punishing people unnecessarily. If somebody has been very remorseful to state that, okay, this maybe I didn't do it right, but I am ready to refund the money to the state, why don't we accept it? Because the state is looking for money. If you look at the monies that we have gone to IMF to take, and the monies that are alleged to have been misappropriated, if we get all these misappropriated funds, there is no need for us going to IMF. So if there is a way we can get these monies, for me, I feel that we should go for the money instead of prosecuting the people. At all, when we take the people to prison, we are going to still use the state money in taking care of them over there. And it is still a liability to the state.
All right. Lawyer Raymond Bedema, thank you so much for talking to us here on Kessben.
It is always a pleasure being on your show.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Lawyer Raymond Bedema, or a law lecturer at CAF University.